Former UN ambassador and Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, is here tonight on The Source. Ambassador Bolton, great to have you back here. Do you agree with Andrew Weissman that Trump's financial predicament that he's in makes him a security risk for the U.S.?
Well, I think all kinds of unscrupulous people are circling around this problem, some of them foreign, some of them domestic. And I think that the state of New York here really has him in a unique position for any former president. And it does raise questions. And whatever bond he eventually puts up, I think ought to be very thoroughly scrutinized. But I think it's also important for the Attorney General in New York to be very careful about how she proceeds, and unless she wants to risk making Trump capitalize off his financial difficulty the same way he's capitalized politically off his four indictments. For example, you showed a clip of her saying she's looking at 40 Wall Street every day. Really, she should stop talking about this. She should say, I'll speak through my office's pleadings in court. Otherwise, she is creating the atmosphere that allows Trump to benefit politically and actually to raise money for his campaign off her actions. Yeah, he's certainly done that. And I've heard this argument from people in Trump's orbit. The other question, though, is if, and notwithstanding her public comments, but if she were to wait to start to try to seize his assets, or, he already got this 30-day grace period. I mean, couldn't that be also seen as the reverse, that he would be getting special treatment because of his status as a presidential candidate and a former president? Well, I'm certainly no expert on New York procedure in a case like this, but I think it's a lot less. She could protect New York's legitimate interest here in ways a lot less intrusive than going up and trying to seize the properties. I would think if she put a judgment lien on any of the properties in New York, certainly she'd have to do something different for properties out of state. But if she were to put liens on every piece of property he's got, every bank account he's got, that would send an enormous signal. It would render those assets utterly illiquid to any potential buyer. And I think that's a lot less dramatic than having New York cops going up trying to get into 40 Wall Street. She just needs to act in a prudent fashion and not act like she's trying to persecute Trump, because that will feed Trump's narrative that he's just the victim of the deep state's persecution. New York has a legitimate interest here. She should act prudently to take care of that legitimate interest and don't overstep. Well, Ambassador Bolton, something you just said, you talked about unscrupulous figures, both foreign and domestic, circling around Trump right now. His attorney, who argued and lost this case, I should note, was asked earlier today about whether or not he could be seeking out support from a foreign country to help him. This is what she said.
Is there any effort on the part of your team to secure this money through another country, Saudi Arabia or Russia?
Well, there's rules and regulations that are public. I can't speak about strategy that require certain things, and we have to follow those rules.
I mean, she didn't say no.
I don't know what that answer means. I mean, I think that I would certainly give a warning to any bank in any country friendly to the United States, or to the government of any country friendly to the United States. Financing Donald Trump's bond problem here is not in their interest. And he may be trying to pursue it, but I would just say to them, I would stay away from this one.
I think also the prospect of if a foreign national or a foreign government does come in and step in to help Trump here, I was thinking back to exactly what we've been hearing from Republicans on the Hill about this exact scenario. Listen to what they've warned about.
We tried to warn the American public that this man and his family had received millions of dollars from countries that were adversaries of ours, that if he were elected, that he would be compromised and our national security would be compromised.
It is poses serious national security risk, and now we have a president who could be compromised by foreign adversaries.
He's compromised because he's taken so much money.
Of course, they're all talking about Joe Biden and their investigation into him that hasn't, proven anything concrete or tied to him. But are they going to say the same thing if Donald Trump does ultimately seek out a foreign national or foreign government to help pay and underwrite his bond here?
Well, I think they should. I mean, one of the problems of the aberrant effects that Trump has had, the distorting effects on the political system, is that he essentially argues different rules should apply to him than to everybody else. And, you know, the standard of integrity in politics is you apply the same rule to people of your party as you do to people of the other party when they're in similar circumstances. And I think to the extent Trump is looking overseas, he's asking for exactly those kinds of attacks from Democrats. He ought to get it from Republicans, too.
Ambassador John Bolton, great to have you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the question here is, realistically, is there a way out for Donald